Hammond City Council Public Hearing Agenda, April 23rd, 2024, 5:30 p.m. Roll call, please.
Councilman Andrews.
Present.
Councilman Divatario.
Present.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Present.
Councilman Leon.
Present.
And Councilman Wells.
Public hearing items, none. Hammond City Council Regular Session Agenda, April 23rd, 2024, 5:30 p.m. Roll call, please.
Councilman Divatario.
Here.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Present.
Councilman Andrews.
Present.
Councilman Leon.
Present.
Councilman Wells.
At this time, we are down to our prayer. I'm going to ask Pastor Lawrence Hart to come up and lead us in our prayer for tonight.
Let us pray. Oh God, our Father, we come at this time thanking you for this day, for the time that we're spending at this city. We pray right now for each and every one that is on the sound of my voice, and we pray that this petition or this bill or this whatever our situation may be will be done in the name of Jesus. We pray for the president of our Sincerial that are here, and for each and every one that is accepted and that will speak on today. It is in Jesus' name we pray and we give it safe. Amen and thank God.
Amen. Now for our Pledge of Allegiance, all veterans and active military, please render the proper salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I need to get an approval of our minutes from our April 9th, 2024 meeting, please.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Divatario.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilman Andrews.
Aye.
Councilman Wells.
Abstain.
Councilman Leon.
Aye.
Presentation, Mr. Ryan Barker.
Good evening, all. Ryan Barker, 1000 West Charles Street. I'm the executive director of the Hammond Area Recreation District Number 1. We currently have Chapapilla Sports Park and CP Mitchell that we program and offer opportunities out of. Our team is really excited about the renewal that's coming up on April 27th, this Saturday, and we just humbly ask for your support and remind your constituents. If you have any questions, I'm here for that as well, and thank you for this opportunity.
Ryan, that's a renewal of a millage,
It's a
correct?
renewal, not a new tax. It's a renewal. Yes, thank you for clarifying that.
You guys are doing a great job out there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you
right.
for sharing.
Hey, Ryan,
Yes, sir.
hold up.
Ryan.
Ryan, I got a question for you. I don't know if you can be any help or not, but look,
Best.
is it any way my district have a lot of poor people in my area?
Understood.
Is it any way that we can get a bus? Because what it is, the problem that we're having, the parents not able to take the kids out there, and it's too far from District 3, even though that's a part of District 3.
Totally understand. I would love to do anything I could. We've talked about that in the past. I know the mayor and I and Mr. Andrews and I talked about running some programs out of the local city parks as well for that issue to solve. But I would love to speak with you at any time and see what it would take to get a bus going. Because we actually do. We have some churches on Old Baton Rouge Highway that assist us, and we'll bus children from Old Baton Rouge Highway out to Chapapilla. So I would love to get that going for you.
Okay, because I know, Ms. Lacy, don't we support one of the little bus systems around here already?
We support the bus system that's run by the Council on Aging. Runs from 8 to 4, 8 to 5 every day, Monday through Friday.
Okay, because I see, because we have bus stops throughout the city of Hammond, and I'm quite sure we don't have a bus stop in my area.
I think there are several bus stops in your area, actually. I know for sure there's one at the rec center. That one comes to mind offhand. I think there's a couple more.
Okay, the rec center not in my area, but thank you. And I'm saying that to say, if it's from 8 to 4 and y'all have events going on, is it any way, since we are part of it, is there any way that we can kind of let them help us out since we don't have nothing in place?
You mean we don't have, what do you mean by
I'm
nothing
saying,
in
since
place?
we have nothing in place, getting kids to Chapel Park.
We can certainly work on that. That's what he's here to tell you.
Yeah.
He
He talked about the millage. So he wasn't here to talk about transportation for the kids getting out there. So that's what I'm asking a question. What could we do as the city? And since we already giving council agency money to help support them, is there any way we can use a part of their service?
We can certainly look into that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah? All right. Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yes, sir. Go stand
Is
here.
this is gonna be voted on in Chancellor Fair?
Just in the Hammond area
Just in
recreation.
the city limits?
Yes, sir.
Just the city limits?
Outside of that, so north of I-12 to about Pumpkin Center, to 1064, and then to about 445 in Robert.
What kind of revenue would that 1% generate for the?
It generates about 3.2 million per year. I can break down where that money goes because
I don't know, 3.2?
it is
And just the city, mainly the city is the one you say that pays the renewal. And how often renew?
not just the city limits outside.
Is
of the
this
city.
every year or?
No, sir, it's a 15-year
Okay,
millage.
okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Barker.
Thank you.
Final adoption of ordinance, none. Introduction of ordinance, none. Resolution number 1.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to renew insurance coverage for the city of Hammond for the period of May 1st, 2024 to April 30th, 2025. Don Steele.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Don Steele, Steele Insurance, 118 Southwest Railroad Avenue, Hammond. We have a few things to go over, if you will. We have the commercial package renewal. In front of you, the coverage is $3 million with the limits as follows. And the automobile coverage that is included with $1 million of coverage. The public officials, errors and omissions that's included. The employment practices liability is included. The employment benefits liability is included. The law enforcement liability coverage is included as well. That's in the primary package policy. Then you have the next thing that will be part of it is the automobile for the fire trucks that we separated some years back. We have excess workers' compensation. And what I'm trying to do is give you the package as we've had it in the past, and there'll be some changes that I'll be coming to. The airport liability, the bond, the blanket bond, the revenue supervisor's bond, the workers' compensation bond, and the equipment, which is all of the equipment the city has, and then the commercial property of $46 million. Commercial property this year is going to be our biggest toll. The total package, as it is currently configured, is $1,308,000. Comparatively, the package, if you see 23, 24, it's on the next screen. 23 to 24, we had a minimal increase compared to prior years on the commercial package. Where the big change is coming in this year is the commercial property, which was no huge surprise. There are multiple insurance carriers layered on the property this year as compared to one carrier in the past. So that's really driving the cost up. We had optional quotations. Safety National gave us a full package quotation. Of course, it is higher with theirs. It will go to $1,345,000. Then we had a package with a $200,000 retention from Munich Re. The company is actually called Euclid. The total premium on that is $1,212,000 if you were to add them all together. The reason I haven't really gone to that is we really don't want a $200,000 retention if we can avoid it on general liability and automobile. This year, and we can come back and discuss the property if y'all need to. This year, we're giving you a quotation from LWCC. It is a fully insured quotation from LWCC. The fully insured premium is $993,000, which is a stiff premium. However, when we add the premium that we currently pay, which is $154,000, $155,000, to our average cost of claims over the last 5 years, plus our lost assessments, the TPA cost, and the excess cost, it adds up to $866,000 a year. That's our average cost over 5 years. The actual losses were $3.5 million, if you will, that were paid by the city because of the $750,000 SIR. Doesn't take much time to have a self-insured retention kick in. So LWCC pays dividends to their shareholders. Shareholder is an owner, a policyholder. It's a mutual company. So regardless of losses paid, it will be paid, a dividend is paid each year. Every year, over the course of time, over the course of the first 5 years, you'll see, and that's what we've shown here, it will continue to increase and ultimately pay over half of the cost of the insurance for the city, the workers' comp. We have other municipal governments in it. It's worked out very, very well. So the first year, in year one, you'd pay $994,000. Your dividend would be estimated at $92,000, and your cost is $902,000. So this dividend goes back to 2003, and they've not missed a year. Year two, you'd pay $994,000. Now your premiums may bounce depending on your payroll, but it will follow, it'll track it. The dividend estimate is $230,000. I've seen these estimates and I feel like they're low. I think our dividends will exceed these amounts. So your net cost is $764,000 in year two. In year three, you have $994,000 premium with a dividend estimate of $368,000 back to the city, and a net cost of $626,000. In year four, your dividend should come in at $505,000. I think it'll exceed that easily. And your net cost is $489,000. In year five, it'll go to $551,000. So your net cost dropping to $443,000. The idea is that as long as you're getting paid these dividends, it inures to the benefit of the future, for the future of the city of Hammond, to get away from this SIR program that is antiquated, expensive to operate, and this makes more sense. it works out better. It's worked out better for most of the municipal governments that we've moved. So the first question that may be on your mind is, why haven't we done this before? We have submitted before. We didn't paint a pretty picture. When you have different management, underwriting management that steps in, they all have different philosophies. Just like the property carriers had in the last 2 years with United Fire, they didn't mind writing and taking the exposure for the city of Hammond. Now they as a company have hired a bunch of people from CNA Insurance Company, and they changed their philosophy. They don't write property anymore right here, large property. They'll still write some. So it's really, that's a major factor in why they've changed their philosophy. But it makes sense. I think it's we're looking at a savings of $1.2 million over the 5 years, and self-insured costs are just running over us. So I'll entertain any questions.
Mr. Steele, will you tell us about the training, the difference? I think you had mentioned that to me, and thank
Yeah.
you for explaining this to me prior to this meeting.
Oh, no.
But could you tell everyone about the training?
Yeah, LWCC they really do take a lot of, put a lot of effort into their safety programs. And they'll come in and do training for all of the employees, not just walk in and say, this is go to www.lwcc.com. They'll load down the employees with information. They will meet with your employees. They will go over the equipment that is owned by the city to find any possibility of that can cause harm to the employees. They'll have a driver training program for the employees. They'll spend their dollars to make sure they make money handling this account. And I've seen it, it works.
Thank you for walking me through this earlier too. Appreciate you meeting with me. The parish, Tangible Parish government, they're currently on this program?
Yes, sir, they are, and their dividends are exceeding what we anticipated before as well.
I want to say they got something like a rebate of around $200,000 this year.
98,000.
Yes, sir.
This year, third year.
I have a question for you. How long the parish been on this here program?
3 years.
3 years.
Yes, sir.
And it's amazing. I heard you say something about the administration, and I'm saying that to say it's going on 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
The same people up here. So why it wasn't presented to us 4 years ago?
We've not been able to get them to write it for us.
Okay.
3 years ago, we had probably losses in excess of $1 million just in that year. We've had our share of hits over the years, but as I said, a change in underwriting philosophy has led to this more than anything.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Okay.
LWCC didn't go out and go after municipal governments. They do now.
Yeah. No, because I dealt with them before myself, and you actually do get a rebate at the end. But this my concern is, from me being in the field working, and I talked to you before about this here,
Mm-hmm.
the guy that parked the truck on the train track, and I know this had nothing to do with you. Who actually trained him when he started working for the city? This is an administration question. The guy that parked the truck on the train track, who actually trained him?
Which part of training are you asking about? How to drive?
That
would be part of his driver's license. So where to park? What are you getting at? Where are we going with this?
I think you pretty much answered it. By him having driving license, he was okay to park on the track. So you answered that question. And this is why I'm asking this here.
Mm-hmm.
The city definitely need, and I heard you say what the company do, but the city itself needs somebody to start training all the new employees, and that'll help out, period, with the insurance across the board. And I brought this up to you 2 years ago, but I know you have nothing to do with it. But the city administration, we need to put somebody in place to train everybody before they go to work on a daily basis. because that'll help the insurance, because everything we looking at, and I always say this here, this is not our money. This the taxpayers' money. And from what I'm looking at, it is getting higher and higher. And so what we need to do, we done been up here 6 years now. We need to find some type of way to help the taxpayers to save money instead of keep issuing out money, you know, and that's why I brought it up about the train track. You know, somehow somebody should have trained this guy to know not to park nowhere near the track. So that's what I was looking at. But that's what I want to say. More than anything, we can get the insurance, but you're not going to get the rebates, if you still have an accident. So, and I heard you say about the training coming from the company, but they could come down and do a lot of training. But
They will.
yourself, I'm talking about from me to you, we have to be trained every day. And so once you be trained every day and hear the same thing every day, it'll help out because the track hole, the backhoe, they had an accident. The guy didn't have enough experience to be on the backhoe. He ended up running into a car.
We hope we can fix that.
Yeah, so a lot of these things here, we can fix it ourselves versus getting somebody on the outside. And then somebody on the outside can continue to help us and educate us better in just everyday life in the city of Hammond. But I went over it, and I had somebody else to help me with this, the LLC, and they say it's truly a good policy.
This will be a good move for the city for the future.
Yes.
It really will.
And thank you so much for doing everything you could do to finally bringing it to the city. Thank you.
So, just want to recap real quick, was that the little point that you made up just a while ago, you said that about 3 years ago the parish took it on. So the parish has a pretty good amount of employees, I would imagine, probably more than the city, I would think. And so they qualified for it, but we were denied because of underwriting, because of all our claims. So we must look pretty poorly compared to the parish.
The last 2 years have
Yeah.
improved a lot.
Okay. So,
And again, it's really underwriting philosophy. It's whether they'll look at it.
the same underwriters probably looked at the parish, I'd imagine.
There's also a
underwriters.
different workforce,
Yeah.
too, there's also a different workforce between the departments that are within the city of Hammond versus the departments that are under the parish.
Yeah.
They don't have
Totally
any
different.
first responders.
Totally different exposures, really.
Okay. Thank you.
Again, I would like to thank you for taking the time out before the meeting to sit down with me and work through the process. So it looks great to me on the saving end as well. Is there anyone in the public that have any questions on this item? Pleasure of the council.
Make a motion.
Second.
Do we need to style it how, because we have two options basically here.
Just review the recommendation and they
Yeah,
can decide.
I
whether-
recommend that we take the LWCC workers' comp option.
Okay.
We take out the SIR that we're currently on, which will also get rid of the workers' comp bond, and that we go with our recommended package, the automobile, airport liability, the blanket bond, the equipment floater, and the commercial property, as well as the LWCC workers' compensation. Fully insured plan.
That's your recommendation?
Yes, sir.
So we've just removed.
Was that your
Go ahead,
motion?
Sam.
Does that
Yeah.
suffice?
Yes, we'll have that for the record. So is that a motion?
That's the motion there.
Skip's motion?
Yes.
Second.
Excuse me, Councilman Wells,
Aye.
Councilman Divatario,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez,
Aye.
Councilman Leon, Councilman Andrews.
Aye.
I thank you all very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council members,
Thank you.
good to see you up and around.
Thank you.
Resolution number 2.
A resolution authorizing tacos and beer to sell and serve alcohol for Cinco de Mayo celebration on Sunday, May 5th, 2024, from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. in the Morrison Alley Park behind the restaurant and between Cypress and Cherry Street. Jose Valencia.
Yes, how you guys doing?
All right.
We get it, last 3 years, we get a small stage, some tents, some tables back there, get a couple bands, clean up after ourselves, all that good stuff. We're asking for permission.
Anyone from the public have any questions on this item? Pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilman Divatario.
Aye.
Councilman Wells.
Aye.
Councilwoman, did I say Gonzalez?
Said
Yes,
me
sorry.
already.
Councilman Andrews.
No.
Councilman Leon.
Resolution number 3.
A resolution authorizing tacos and beer to obtain a waiver of the open container law for Cinco de Mayo celebration on Sunday, May 5th, 2024, from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. in the Morrison Alley Park behind the restaurant and between Cypress and Cherry Street. Jose Valencia.
Once again, yeah.
Anyone from the public on this item? Pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve.
Councilman Divatario.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilman Leon. Councilman Andrews.
No.
Councilman Wells.
Aye.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Resolution number 4.
A resolution for the street department to purchase a regenerative air street sweeper for $320,000, RFP 24-23, Lacey Landrum.
Part of the attachments that you have on this item include the bid tabulation. We received 3 proposals for this, and you can see the difference between them pretty quickly. So the cost difference is not a huge spread. It's only $31,500. However, the delivery time in that next column is quite substantial. The first one, which was the low bid, would take almost 2 years to arrive in the city of Hammond. The second one would take about 8 months, and then the last one is 7 to 10 days because they have it on the yard. The last one is the one that we are recommending to purchase for several different reasons. As part of your packet, you have the RFP that was put out that describes all the specifications that were required. You also have a brochure of the one that they have recommended to us, the A9 unit. Some of the highlights later in that package on about page 20 or 21 of their proposal, they go through in extensive detail how the proposal exceeds what we had requested. Basically, in one of their statements, they say the city's objective is to clean as many road miles as possible each day. The average sweeper, as specified, will need an average of 2 hours to fill and 4 to 5 times at 265 gallons. The A9, which is the unit that they are recommending, with 600 gallons, will require only 1 hour for 2 fill-ups with 600 gallons, 1 hour per trip. The large hopper will also save us drive time and fuel. 1 to 2 hours can be saved per day with that large hopper. So in conclusion, you can gain between an hour and a half and 2.5 hours of more sweeping time because you're not having to spend time putting more water back into the machine or going to refuel it and make it work all over again. So there are some other options there that are listed, such as the larger sweeper head. This is one that also can sweep in reverse, which is a highly coveted, will make this a much better sweeper to use. But really the hopper, with the amount of space that it can pick up and then the larger water capacity, are the 2 key things that stood out to us. Our budget that you budgeted already for this year was $350,000, so we are still $30,000 under that budget, which was a great relief as well.
Anyone have any questions on this item?
Sal Nicolosi. I'm just trying to figure $320,000 for a piece of equipment and figuring how much it's going to be used, you know. I live out on 190 West, And I don't think it's gonna be coming out there on 190 West, you know, sweeping 190 Highway, because that is a federal road. So, I wanna, you know, just consider what's going on here. That 320,000 is a lot of money for a piece of equipment in my book. But, do y'all have any comments about it, or what's the need? I mean, is it a need for it?
Sal,
I don't see a need for it yet.
Sal, I get calls in my district all the time for street sweeping, and that's why we put it on the budget last year. We had discussions during budget hearings about buying a street.
Sal, it'll clean 190, it'll clean Southwest Railroad, it'll clean 190, Highway 190, it'll clean the box drains that we just put in down Alida. It has the attachment to be able to clean box drains and jet culverts as some of the other equipment we have. So it has multiple uses as well.
Okay, my concern is, whoever's operating that sweeper, be pushing it into those catch basins, because that's what happened to Alida whenever they had a backup of water. Actually, what had happened, one of the contractors came through, and when he got through, he had a sweeper or something, and he pushed it all into the drains. So whenever he puts it into the drains, when a little water came back through, about 5 or 6 houses on Alida did flood, you know. So here again, like the guy with the insurance saying, you put a man on a piece of equipment, he got to know what he's doing. You don't just put him on. I don't think there's anybody who even know how to operate a sweeper here, from what I'm aware of, you know.
I do. I've operated the one.
You operate it?
I operated the one we have after Mardi Gras and some of the other parades.
Well, that wouldn't be your job, Mayor. Your mayor is to operate the city, not the sweeper, you know.
Sometimes you do what you need to do.
I appreciate your help anyway. But, no, I just think that, I don't think we really need a sweeper in the city of Hammond personally. That's my opinion. And I'd ask my councilman to, you know, to do what he could to say no on it. Thank you.
Well, I do think the street sweeper is needed at times, but I think it's something that could have been leased out and not purchased. That's a big equipment, big liability. You know, you're gonna have different drivers at different times driving it. This equipment breaks down, and it'll break. You know, it's just a lot of equipment there and a lot of money invested it came up during the budget session. I felt the same way then I do now. I think it's something that could have been, you know, organized a little differently and still accomplish the same job at a lot better price. But that's my opinion on it, and everybody has their own. But I think that's a big asset to take on to you know, sweep the streets when we could lease it out and do rotations and go from there. But yeah, that's my opinion on it. So, thank you.
Just as a point of reference too, it doesn't necessarily just push out the debris. It actually sucks it up. It's a vacuum and a sweeper. Oh, it's a vacuum. Yeah, it has multiple combinations going on. So hopefully those catch basins would actually get cleaned out and pulled out rather than pushed in.
So it is a vacuum. It's not really a sweeper.
It's both. It's all of that. Yeah.
It sweeps into the vacuum.
Yeah.
So look, I'm gonna ask a question. As of right now, last year, how many times did we need a street sweeper for last year?
We always use a street sweeper after our parades. This year we actually had great difficulty in finding street sweepers after our parades because the parades are there's so many parades and there's so few street sweepers. Another time that we have always used a street sweeper is when we are in kind of our spring cleaning mode and in clean a city mode and all that. In addition, we have asked for DOTD to sweep several times over on the roundabout area, and then they would actually take it potentially and help partner with us in some of our neighborhoods. This would enable us to do all of those things and more, because again, this is a multi-functioning machine. It's not just a street sweeper, that's its primary job, but it can do other things as well.
Okay, because once again, and I know we had put this in the budget last year. Why we wait so long?
We put it in for this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we did it in July, am I right or wrong?
You are correct, yes.
Okay, so July about to come up here again. Why we wait so long to make purchases?
Availability.
I think we did some research too, just to kind of make sure the different features that we wanted to have available. And then, as the mayor described, availability overall. We put the proposal out, it stayed out for about 30 days, and then it came back, and we're here now.
Okay, how many operators y'all gonna have on this street sweeper?
I don't know offhand.
Very few.
Yeah, and see, I'm saying, right now, we're at a council meeting, and we can say everything right now sound good, but in the meantime, there we go again, $230,000 worth of equipment that.
Actually,
300,
320.
320.
300, oh,
Yeah.
my God.
You forgot a.
Yeah, I
forgot a number.
left off 100. And I'm saying $330,000 worth of equipment.
320.
320, okay. Well, we in the threes, right?
We are.
300.
We are.
This is what I'm saying. Make a long story short. We spending $300,000, over $300,000. And I heard the mayor say something. They got driving license. And so just because a man got driving license, that don't mean he know how to drive.
I agree with you.
So, and I'm saying this here,
We see that every day.
you know, from all the equipment that these guys got driving license for, they driving this stuff, but yet now it goes back to the taxpayers. The taxpayers are the one eating the cost. And we just have to have something in place when we making big purchases like this. We can't have any and everybody on the equipment because, and this is what I noticed too, when somebody takes sick from the city, that part of the area is shut off. You can't, nobody else is trained. And how I know, because when we're trying to get something done in that building permit office, if any one of them guys miss, we have to shut down till they get back to work. So if they out 1 week, 2, yeah, I know.
When did the building permit office close?
No, not the office closed. When somebody takes sick. What I'm saying is,
That's
it's like
not
only, I know, we're gonna say that because it sounds good.
No, we're going to say that because I've worked over there for
Yeah.
many days. It's not true.
I know, it sounds good.
Yeah.
But
You're
when
not.
yeah,
being
well, we're not gonna go back and forth.
Okay.
When somebody takes sick, we don't have enough people trained. That's all I'm saying. Once again.
We work really hard on training up, but you're correct. It helps every time we have an employee who has more training and more ability to maneuver into different positions and handle different equipment. That's a win for the city. I agree with you.
Yes, that's all it is, you know. It's not to go back and forth, but I know y'all miss me, but I know
Terribly.
people ask me these questions, you know.
And
what
they
we-
should, and
Yeah.
I'm glad that you help answer them.
Yeah.
I think your idea about having multiple people trained, multiple people with a full understanding, having some even test driving before they get out in the middle of the road with traffic, we're going to do all that.
Yeah, but don't be funny either. But
I'm
I'm gonna
not
say
being
this
funny.
here.
I'm being serious. That's
But-
what we do in our
Yeah,
all the
but I'm
time.
gonna say this here too. Whoever worked the equipment, from this point on, you need to have an inspection sheet. Who get on the equipment, who get off, so now we can point the finger. Because just like that guy got fired from parking on the railroad track, now we can fire the guy that tear up this $300 and some dollar equipment. What type of warranty are we gonna have on this equipment? 1 year, 2 years, 5 years?
That's all described in the paperwork there.
Yeah, but,
It's different parts for different times.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, with the taxpayers out here, let them know what type of warranty. See, they don't read, they don't see all the stuff we have in front of us. So, what type of warranty are we gonna have on it?
You're not going to get a good answer, Councilman Wells. I mean, she just said they train everybody, but our liability insurance continue to go up, skyrocketed. So, you know, there's a different understanding here. It's not to go back and forth, but we have a management issue, and that's what it is, bottom line. So let's just continue.
Is that it, Tracy?
Yeah.
Oh, Lacy?
No, we haven't got the warranty. Okay.
I was concerned too, is from Covington, the company's from Covington.
Livingston.
I'm sorry?
Livingston.
Oh.
Dental
It says
Springs, the
Covington,
name
but I
the
thought
name
it
of
was
it, the company is
Livingston.
called Covington.
What about the owner, getting him to come down here and, you know, train the people on that equipment?
That is something that's done.
That's,
And then I know Devon has mentioned it before, seeing Robert Williams or, God forbid, you see the mayor in the truck. But we make sure when those types of equipment are out there, that piece of equipment, especially the vacuum truck that we have now, the new one with the jetting, we get out and we'll train and we'll ride with them. We want to make sure that that person knows how to use the truck. I know you've mentioned before, why is he doing it? He's a department head, but we want to make sure that that piece of equipment's in the right hands. And sometimes we're a part of training.
Well, you know, the equipment's gonna be tore up if the person operating don't know what they're doing.
Believe me.
So, you know, that's a big concern of mine, especially 320, you know? And the other thing is, like you said, if you could talk to the guy who you purchasing it from, let him come down here and train maybe 2 or 3 people on it, you know? And I think he probably would do that if you would ask him, you know, because that's a lot of money, $320,000, you know? And the warranty and all that makes a, you know, I don't know what kind of coverage. Well, I mean, I can't read all that, Lacey. I mean, that's kind of, I beg your pardon? Only 12 months? Only 29, 12 months. You know, I've encountered quite a few pieces of equipment that the city has been having problems with. So I don't know if y'all brought it all up to date. But in the, out on 190 West particularly, they have a mower come out and he'll cut the side, but he never could cut the middle. And every time I'd ask, they said, well, equipment's broke, equipment's broke. You know, every time I asked them, the workers, they said, well, equipment's broke, you know. And it's 6, 8 months, a year before I heard anything back from them, you know. So I was just wondering if we're going to have the same problem with this one, you know. You get out there and you tear that equipment up, and who's going to fix it? I know our mechanics don't know how to fix that. So it's going to be important to have a good warranty on that piece of equipment, what I think anyway, you know. What do you think, Mayor?
It's a vacuum system with impellers, and it's a mechanical machine. So you need to have people properly trained to run it, because you can tear up equipment, all types of equipment. Lawnmowers can hit concrete, can hit whatever debris in the ditches and what have you on a neutral ground. So it's just a matter of the operator doing what he needs to do, his due diligence, making sure he's being safe and the area he's in front of and cutting is clear.
Good afternoon, Council President, Council, and everyone, Mayor Lacey. I remember at the budget hearing as well, this piece of equipment was Tracy Washington Wells, 610 Mooney Avenue, I apologize, was brought up, and I didn't agree with it. I voiced my opinion then. We already have a vacuum truck to clean the catch basins, as Mr. Sal has said. I believe each one of you could utilize $320,000 better than a street sweeper, especially in District 3, District 4, and District 1. 12-month warranty on a $320,000 piece of equipment is not very feasible. What happens if it breaks? I agree with the question about training and service. When you make your decision, think about what your constituents can use in our community for $320,000. Thank you.
Currently, how many people how many city workers do we have that we can dedicate to cleaning the curbs on the street, i.e., where the sidewalk meets the street in many areas through Hammond, there's a buildup of leaves and dirt, just from nature, and grass grows high in that. How is that cleaned right now? Is it not cleaned with city workers, with shovels? Mm-hmm. And how long do you think it takes to do a block of that compared to this machine doing it?
The brushes on the machine are really stiff. So the one we have now is one steering wheel, one-sided. So I had to get a police escort so I could go up traffic to do the opposite side of the street. It'll actually take grass as well up from the side of the streets. It's a machine that could be used. The good thing about these street sweepers, if you look on the positive side, is when it's raining, it's the best time to do the street sweeping. It's good for the machine as well. That's a time when we're pretty much down. We're not cutting grass, we're not doing other things, but you get in that street sweeper and you can work all day in a street sweeper doing some cleaning while normally folks wouldn't be doing, outside cutting grass and some other things. They'd be maintaining equipment and such. So that's a good downtime machine that we cannot get out there and cut grass and weed eat as well when it's raining. The water actually helps the vacuum system keep dust down as well, because usually you have a water tank to spray as you're vacuuming. So it's a good downtime machine to use as well. And the streets that are coming in from the interstates, you take a ride down them and you take the neutral grounds and you take a good look where your turning radiuses are. There's a lot of gravel, there's a lot of debris that could be picked up.
I've highlighted the section on the warranty in full. So the main warranty is for 1 year on the entire sweeper, including all parts and labor. There's a 3-year on the chassis engine, including parts and labor, and then there's manufacturer that talks about lifetime protection against rust of the water tank.
Okay, so Ms. Lacy, ask you a question. Is there any way we can get an extension? Because that's a lot of money, the chastity. Most guys know about chastity. Rust. Most guys in here know about rust proof. So what I'm saying, on the piece of equipment itself, a year warranty is not good. we talking about $320,000. There's so many moving parts to this equipment, and that's what I'm looking at. So is there any way that we can look for an extension?
It won't be there.
It won't?
No, sir. And it's stainless steel, the tank and what have you, so that's a good thing as far as rust goes, but it's...
No.
This is an opportunity that we have to get one.
Yeah. No, I don't have no problem getting one, but what I'm saying is stainless steel, we know it don't rust. I'm saying let's be realistic. We not going to make up nothing. But what I'm saying is on the equipment itself, not the tank. I'm not worried about the tank. Tank could be replaced. On the equipment itself, is there any way could we get an extended warranty? I'm saying when I go buy a vehicle, I got a manufacturer warranty.
We can check into it.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is any way we can get an extension on it, because $320,000, and this is what I'm looking at. What this is, 25 and a half, the equipment tab. Now, are we going to go back to the public and say, we need to buy this equipment again? Or how do we do this? That's all I'm asking for. Could we get an extension? Did y'all even mention it? Or did anybody?
An extended warranty on it? Yeah. I mean, probably didn't ask, I guess.
I'm asking them right now.
And a lot of times when you're spending this here kind of money, I think it'll help out if the manufacturer or the sales rep can actually come here. And so a lot of questions that we're asking, they can sit there and answer the questions with no problem. I don't know nothing about a street sweeper.
Would you want to wait for the answer to come back and come back to this item and move forward to another one?
I would hope he would.
Yeah,
he's in Houston and.
I'm hoping he called the mayor back within 5 minutes. So we can wait. We come back to this, please. Right. Thank you.
Okay, let's move to resolution number 5.
Excuse me, a resolution supporting a submission of an application of up to $10,000 to the Healthy Communities Grant Program to purchase trash can liners and cleanup supplies to reduce litter in Hammond, and 2, supporting a 15% in-kind match in volunteer hours. Lacey Landrum.
This is an annual grant program that we typically apply to. We do go ahead and apply for the full $10,000. There is a 15% in-kind match. What we do to make that in-kind match is it's not actual dollars, it's service time used in cleanup days. So we actually exceed that way over that every year. But we're hoping that through this grant, we'll have 80 to 100 new liners for the main steel trash cans that are both in our parks and in downtown areas. And then that we'll also be buying some additional cleanup supplies for our normal routine cleanups.
Anyone have any questions on this item?
The only thing I have on this, she said just downtown, and I don't think it's just downtown in the city of Hammond. We also live on outskirts, out on 190 West in particular. It's not just downtown. I think they should also put out, you know, liners and stuff out there too, because I had to clean up not too long ago. I had to clean up on Alita and then Pete Nicolosi Lane because they had a tree turned over and fell in that. And the guy was on bush hog, and I said, before you get there, you know, let me get that tree out. And there was all kind of stumps and things along the highway, you know, along the highway. So I think we need some of those out there on 190 also. Thank you.
Anyone else? Pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Wells? Aye. Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
We'll move right ahead to the next item, the appeal.
Mr. Council President, council members, my name is Barry Sorton. I'm here on behalf of Guys LLC to appeal the historic district's denial of their plans.
Barry, could you give us your full name so we can put that in the record here?
Barry Sorton Jr. You need an address?
How do you spell your last name?
S-A-R-T-I-N.
Thank you.
Guys is here in front of the council appealing a denial by the historic district to make an improvement to the Guys Grocery Building. The historic district was established to protect historic buildings, but in the Hammond City Code, when it is established, it makes clear the district is there not only to preserve the history, but also to foster economic development and the overall welfare of the community. The history of this particular building on Kate Street being in or out of the district is somewhat complicated, as I think everybody on the council knows. It was out of the district, it's now back in the district. While it was out of the district, this particular proposal was brought to the Downtown Development District. They reviewed it, they had approved it, granted a certificate of approval. No permits were issued before it was sucked back into the historic district, at which point the historic district took it upon themselves to block the proposal. They're doing it based on 9 guidelines that they have to guide them in their mission, but these guidelines in their application are arbitrary. They've essentially made an arbitrary decision. It's totally subjective. If you read through this packet, there's reasons why this should be approved under all the 9 guidelines. It's however the person looking at it decides to come out and look at it. From Guy's perspective, even the historic district points out in their letters in opposition about this building historically, and part of why it's so important to the history of Hammond, and it's, I believe, on the National Register, is it's tied into the railroad tracks behind it. It was used as a wine warehouse. It had large openings in its brick facade. It's part of why it has a unique triangular shape. Things were brought in from trains through those large openings, brought into the warehouse, brought out the other side to trucks. Right now as it stands, it's out of commerce, it's sitting there, and all those facade openings are actually boarded up and had been for years as it operated as a grocery for some time. This project would reopen all of those openings. Now, they're not going to be open to the air, but they're going to put windows in them. It'll look a lot more like it did historically. You're not losing any of the connection to the railroad. You can actually see it more right there on the street. It preserves the brick facade, it preserves the signage, it's all there. You're building townhomes that are set back on the roof that are painted in a different color. They're made of materials that follow the guidelines and don't attempt to mimic the historic structure below them. You can clearly tell it's a different structure. But it doesn't overwhelm the neighborhood around it either. You've got buildings that are surrounding it that come close to the same height as the total height that this proposed building would be. Nothing about it seems to be something that should be blocked, other than you have 9 people who, although well-intentioned, have misapplied their own rules and somehow seem to have created a bar to building up. And we actually brought with us tonight Mr. Nicholas Musso, who's an architect. He specializes in historic restoration, renovation, and preservation. He was the head of the Vieux Carré Commission in New Orleans for years. And I'd like to give him a chance to address with the council the particulars of historic restoration and why this project should be allowed to move forward and not stop the economic progress in downtown.
My name is Nick Musso. I'm an architect. I was the head of the Vieux Carré Commission in New Orleans, the chairman, for 10 years. I was also the chair of the Architectural Review Committee for 5 years. In that capacity, I reviewed approximately 5,000 buildings in the Vieux Carré, 5,000 proposals, I should say. Quite often we rejected them, quite often we accepted them. In most cases, we tried to be negotiable, and we had the same process. You went from the Vieux Carré Commission to the City Council. From the City Council, you could litigate it, or you could just withdraw your proposal and try another. I reviewed the proposal on this project, and it would have been eminently approvable by the Vieux Carré Commission, and also, by the way, by the HDLC, which is a Historic Districts Landmark Commission. One of the things, I'm not going to try to go over all our comments by any means, but just go over the most pertinent. One was a building on a rooftop of a historic building. There's a whole chapter in, this is the Vieux Carré's guidelines. I helped write them. We've got 3 national awards for them because of their succinctness and also because of their being comprehensive. And I suggest if you want to look at them, they're online and they're free. You can take them down and print them or do whatever you like with it. But one of the things about it is that our architectural committee was made up of all architects. And they had enough expertise that they could look at contemporary buildings, they could look at historic buildings, and essentially, like this project, buildings that merge the two together. 2 projects that I'll point out to you that do merge the two together are the Jack's Brewery, which was done in 1983. And there we had a large, tall, 1-story building that was the brew house and the administrative headquarters, which the administrative headquarters was 2 stories. We doubled the size of it, and everybody approved of it. That was actually approved even by SHPO, which is the state's, and also by the National Park Service. In this particular case, we don't have anything to do with SHPO. We're not going after a historic tax credit. We're not going after business credits. So they have literally, their guidelines are not related to what this proposal is about. And they'll be the first to say that, and they've also sent the developer, in this case, a letter stating that this has nothing to do with us. So building on a rooftop, chapter 14, and there you can take a look at it. The second issue was building height. The building height of approximately 36 feet is fairly well established in adjacent buildings. There's no attempt to go any higher than that. And we're talking about, normally you judge the eave height of the roofs as a standard. Well, here, the eave heights are less than 36, so we're acceptable in terms of that. The third item that comes into play is delineation between the historic and the new. Here we have a heavy masonry facade, red brick, and on top we have a metal panel building that is totally different in color, texture, and everything else. The objections, while they're worthwhile to explore, are not appropriate for the most part. The last thing I'll point out, and this is written into their mission statement, is that they are to encourage economic development of the community. Here we have new residential in the downtown area, which to my way of thinking, except for one or two buildings that have had that kind of work, this is going to be the largest single number, I think it's 11, that'll be put into play. Not to mention putting back into commerce the ground floor of this building. I don't think it offers any problems that I can see in terms of historic preservation. If there are other reasons, that's fine, but it shouldn't be written off in terms of preservation. I've taught architecture for 12 years. I've been on all these commissions, and I've practiced architecture and got design awards in contemporary design and historic design. So I feel comfortable in telling you this and giving you this advice. I did the same thing for the city of Donaldsonville. I did the same thing for the city of Thibodaux. So I'm going to open it up, and if there's any questions from the council persons, I'm open for it, and I'll be glad to answer anything you might have.
Anyone have any questions?
Mayor?
Did I see the plans where one wall was going to be completely torn down?
Yes, sir. And the wall was just so, again, this is the back wall, which is a non-character wall. It was a wall with two openings in it. This was not what I'd call a public facade wall. There are two very prominent public facade walls which we've left alone. The one in the back is the only one that would be modified.
So that was the one where the trains would unload?
Correct. And since we don't have that as a function, we're trying to utilize to get some extra space.
So as a detail for history, the history being stated so clearly as you did earlier, that was a train cargo loading and unloading that was part of the entire base of the marketplace where the strawberries would come in and come out, and it was also a storage for wine that was made from the strawberries in that particular building. So that's some pretty substantial.
I do understand that, and that comes under the realm of
what is the purpose of taking the wall down? To extend?
To get extra space. I mean,
so you're looking
they're
at
trying to
zero
get
lot
this.
Line?
I'm sorry?
Are you looking at a zero lot line?
Oh, no. We're not going that far out, no. But one of the things, to be honest, you have to do a balance sheet on this to see if you're going to make money. And the only way any development gets done in communities of this size is the cash flow has to be positive. I mean, most of you are businessmen or women, and you know that as a fact. Other questions?
So in other words, from what the mayor was asking, by removing that wall would actually take away from the historical preservation of the building?
Well, I think that's a good point, and I think we can be negotiable on things like that, but the commission wasn't negotiable on that. It was kind of a yes or no with no negotiations in between. And I think that the way we worked it on the View Carré is we gave everybody the opportunity to come back and if they wanted to modify it or to walk away. And here you do the same thing, but when you walk away, you don't lose your right to appeal to the city council. And in this case, they're appealing. The city council can approve it, or the city council can approve it with a caveat.
Anyone else have any questions?
I think it would be helpful to hear from the historic district.
I was going to open.
I may have questions for you after we hear the other side.
Yeah,
That'd
I
be
was
fine.
going to allow everybody to speak.
Heather Diebold, Hammond Historic District Coordinator, 219 East Robert Street. With all due respect to the gentleman who presented his guidelines for Valkyrie, those are not our guidelines. Our guidelines for the city of Hammond mirror those from the Secretary of the Interior, National Park Service. Those are what were applied to the application that was presented to the Historic District Commission for additions. I provided you with that checklist that our commission utilized in determining whether or not it would be approved. That's pretty much where the facts lay. I provided you with a lot of documentation, and I apologize if I overwhelmed you with it, but documentation, audio, going all the way back to 2018, when they first came before the Historic District, when I do believe that there was some confusion as to whether or not they were still in the district. Fact of the matter is, they are in the district now, based on an ordinance that y'all approved 5-0 to bring them back into the district. As it stands, the plan that was provided to us does not meet our guidelines, and that is why we denied the application.
Question so there was a COA, certificate of appropriateness, given at one point. Is that right?
From the DDD. Once they realized they were not in the Historic District, they did get one from the DDD Design Committee that was issued to them in April of 2022. That expired in October of 2022. At no point during that time were any permits issued. There was an application for a permit. The permits were never paid for. Therefore, the COA expired and no construction took place.
So, but it's never received a COA from the Historic District?
That is correct.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Just in response to what the commissioner for the Historic District just got up and told y'all, they sent you a lot of materials, a checklist. They're making an arbitrary decision on 9 guidelines. We handed you a packet that decides it the other way. The council has the ultimate power to rule on these as opposed to what are essentially appointees. They're well-meaning, but in this instance where you've got architects who have looked at this, albeit from an economic perspective for the downtown development district, they approved all these plans. Looking at it from a historical perspective, the developer has brought in other experts who have looked at it, and they've done it in the most or least destructive manner to the history as possible, even restoring some of the history in the process by removing some of these boarded up openings. I believe the council is even, or either the council or the Historic District has cited the owner currently because of the facade doesn't look good. There's graffiti. The openings are boarded up, and they're not boarded up well. This would solve all of these problems, but you have this board that's blocking them for reasons they can't actually explain because their rules aren't hard and fast. They're subjective, and they're just making a decision based on their whims, and that shouldn't block economic development.
So in response to that, I'm sure you guys have a response to that, but I look at this as we are the appellate court. I'm an attorney. Everybody has watched TV. We understand how cases go and appellate courts go, right? They are not arbitrary. They are the ones who actually have the training in the historic guidelines, and they go to intensive trainings and intensive boot camps and all these other things, which we don't do, right? So we have to defer to their fact finding. That's just in law. That's how we do this. And so we determine whether they were arbitrary in their fact finding based on all the evidence they were given. So for you to say that we need to look at the guidelines and apply our expertise, we don't have expertise. They have the expertise. And you have to point to something that is specifically arbitrary in what they're finding.
Any of them actually have any expertise? Mr. Musso has expertise. The 9 members who are appointed for political reasons here don't really have expertise in historic restoration or preservation.
But they have training.
They may have training.
Which we have
Council
zero.
has a history of overruling them when they overreach. This is another situation where you need to do that to prevent a bigger problem. And that's pretty much where it stands.
And what's the bigger problem?
ultimately, it would result in litigation that's going to cost the city money because the developer wants to proceed with his plans.
And in that litigation, as you're aware, a judge were to look at this, if we,
Again,
and they're going to look,
Also
they're going to
review the
defer to the fact finders there, and, you know, you say it's arbitrary, they have some evidence behind it.
both parties would present their evidence to the judge, who would.
So you're an attorney, correct?
Yes, sir.
So the property owner got notifications for graffiti on the building?
It looks like there's a notice sometime from April.
Okay.
This was discussed at some meetings, either with this district or with other counsel for the property owner. Some type of citation about the facade has graffiti on it, they want it cleaned up. It's all part and parcel. It's gonna be done as part of a larger project.
They must have closed their eyes at the ballroom across the street with the graffiti all over it for years. So, but yeah, but I'm appreciate. I'm glad I know that. Yeah.
Acting on a
Thank you.
whim.
If I could just clarify one point. There is nothing about that rear wall that can't be modified. It could be an entirely glazed wall. It could be something. This building's significance is mostly cultural. It's not an architectural marvel, okay? It's cultural, and I understand that, and I understand your willingness to do that, but there are a lot of other ways to do that. So I think if the Historic Commission and the developer look at it, they can find a way to do both things. We want to memorialize the railway function, and that back wall is, believe me, nothing to memorialize, but the function was, and the historic and cultural references are something to revel in. So that's the crux, and so I think there should be some way to reach that without, I mean, one of the points that were made earlier is that much like other communities of this size, revenue is important. How you get it and is also important. You don't want to throw out the baby in the bathwater, but you do want to, when you have an opportunity, you want to be able to develop. And one of the things, and it's not in anybody else's historic commission that I know of in Louisiana, you have specifically in yours economics. In the Vieux Carré, we could never consider economics. It was not allowed, okay? But you have it. So if you're considering economics, are you going to let this building stay out of commerce? And that's my point here. And I do understand the value of it, and I've seen other ways of handling it. So I leave it to your good decision, good judge making.
Speaking to the fact of the architectural aspect of it, I did provide you with a letter from SHPO, which is the State Historic Preservation Office, who addressed the structural importance of this building. It is the only triangular-shaped building in the city of Hammond. And they also mentioned about the fact that it is low-rise, and the other buildings around it are also low-rise. Economically speaking, we are not trying to keep this building out of commerce in any way. There are many things that can be done with that building without putting 150% addition on top of this building that would overwhelm what this building is and what it means to the city. And it's more than just a decision on this building. We are talking about a slippery slope. If you take our decision and overturn it, you are looking at invalidating, possibly invalidating every decision that the commission makes, and it coming before you with property owners knowing that if they come before you, you're just going to overturn it. And if you lose your historic district, you lose your CLG. If you lose your CLG, you lose your Main Street program. I gave you numbers of what the Main Street program has provided to you, and I know you guys are fully aware of that because in your last council meeting, Michelle came before you and told you we're about ready to celebrate the Main Street's 40th year. And the Main Street has done a lot for this city. So there is a lot more that goes into this than just this particular building. and we have followed our guidelines. They are not arbitrary by any means. They are adopted into the UDC as the rules that govern our decisions with the commission.
Sal Nicolosi. I know the building that is Guy's building, used to be way back in the day. And I'm just looking for the city of Hammond or the historic district to maybe be a little bit lenient on what's going on. Because that building just sitting over there is rotting. That's all it's doing is catching rats and stuff like that, you know. Now, I don't know what this young lady, I haven't met her yet, but I guess you're the city historic person in charge. Well, what I was saying, just like this gentleman said here, it could be probably worked out. I don't think it's that much of a major change from what they relating to it. So I don't know. I'm just saying what I've seen and what I know about that building. I mean, we've been in that building since I was a kid, and naturally we want to keep it restored and brought up. But you know, I don't know how the district. It's sometimes it's a little bit tough on a lot of people from what I've seen in the past. So maybe y'all can be a little flexible.
Chris Diebold. I got a question for them. You know, add 2 stories onto a historic building. Can we do it with every building? Every downtown building is historic and just destroy them all? Where do you draw the line? The line's already drawn. The rules are in place. The rules that y'all voted for to put in place are there to protect these buildings. And you might think it's better looking, you might not, but the rules are there for a reason. They're to protect the building and protect downtown Hammond. Because otherwise, why not put an extra 2 stories on every building, put some metal buildings on top of all of them, and destroy downtown Hammond? Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions?
Good evening, Tanya Turner, 211 Kansas Street. The gentleman spoke about culture, and I do want to speak on that right quick. I grew up in Hammond all my life, and I do remember at a time, Guy's Grocery was the only place that African Americans could shop. That is historic. I do remember that Mr. Guy, the original owner, when the strawberry fields were being picked, they were only allowing African Americans to enter into that back wall. There is history there. Not wanting to keep it out of commerce is not our problem. Make it a grocery store. At one time, that was the closest grocery store for the African American community to shop in. They had no other. That was the only place within inside of the city limits that we could get real meat, hand cut. If you speak of culture, preservation is necessary for us to remember why that building was put there. Not just for the railroad track, not just for the strawberries. It became a lineage in our community, and it connected us all. I didn't know what an Italian was until I went to Guy's Groceries. I honestly learned things in Guy's Grocery. Commerce can be achieved by maintaining, not by completely changing and demolishing history. If we make a decision, it is based on facts, not emotional charge. The facts are in front of you. And as Heather spoke of, we can only make a decision based on the facts that we were given. So please understand our culture, our history, our duty that we were given is what we are here for. It's not personal. It's literally to preserve the history we were given. Thank you. That was very well spoken. Thank you, ma'am.
Is there anyone else?
have several of my commission members here. If any of them wish to speak, outside of Tanya, I appreciate what you had to say. I just wanted to allow them to speak if that's okay, if you have any questions for them.
Heather, thank you for the information you provided. It was a lot, but it's necessary to see what you guys put into your job. So I appreciate that.
I think this is a little unique situation here. The project originally started when it was not in the historic district, and big projects like this take a while sometimes to get off the ground for many of reasons. You know, interest rates, material, design, everything. So there's a lot in place with that, and you know, it would be nice to see it come back into commerce. Appeals are always brought up, and you know, sometimes boards come with their opinions of denials, and they're appealed in the past, and they're approved, and sometimes they're not. So you know, there've been other historical denials that were approved afterwards. So you know, it just depends on how you look at it. So you know, it would be nice, and it could still be a grocery store on the bottom. It's commercial space on the bottom, and up top residential apartments, so condos. So you know, I think it'd be something good to put back into commerce in the city.
Yep. You have anything?
No.
He has owned the property since 2016. During that process, we have had numerous, like in 2021, my predecessor came before the council to have a language change. The only reason it was ever removed from the historic district, it's been in the National Registry since the beginning. The only reason it was technically, I guess, quote unquote, removed from the historic district was because of an interpretation of the word phasing. We revised that in 2021. It was not approved by the council, although Mr. Smith, the property owner, was given notice of all the forums and of the city council meeting, did not come to any forums, did not come to the council meeting to voice his concerns about this being brought back into the historic district. He didn't come in 2023 either. So he has owned the property since 2016. Nothing has been done with the property, including minimal maintenance to the building in the past, now going on 8 years. So he had an opportunity to put this back into commerce in the plan that is provided to you, and he did not take that opportunity. The fact is he is now in the historic district. Our rules apply to the application that he submitted. We applied those rules. It does not fit the criteria.
I'm glad you brought up the change of the rules, and now that it's in, because I recall, were you the director when this happened, when we did this?
Last year.
Yes. So and I remember saying, well, we need to make sure everybody knows about it. Let's send it back out there, get it renoticed, send out certified letters. Let's make sure everyone, and y'all have had multiple meetings Saturdays during the day. So, and he got notice of the change, saying you're about to get you're about to get stuck in the historic district.
Correct.
You're currently not.
Yes.
So I think that there was a lot of really good notice there, and you know, pull a permit while you had something that was approved at that time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right.
I make a motion to grant the appeal applied for an issued certificate of appropriate need for the application as applied for.
Let's be clear, this is a motion to approve the appeal that overturns the historic district, right? Yeah, I know, we've had.
I make a
issues
motion
before.
to grant the appeal applied for and issue the certificate of appropriateness for the application as applied for.
Second.
Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
No.
Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Councilman Andrews?
No.
Councilman Leon?
No.
Mayor,
Go back to,
did you get an answer?
Okay. The extended warranty is for the manufacturer's defects would go to 2 years instead of 1 at no cost. But we train and retrain as often as needed. We have 2 service techs who live in Albany. Warranty on hydraulic systems is 5 years. Pony motor, which is the motor that handles the vacuum, and the suction tube for the catch basins is 2 years, and that's basically it. So yes, you can get an extended warranty on the manufacturer's defects, but they already have 2 and 5 years respectively for 5 for hydraulic system on it and 2 years for the pony motor on it.
Could you either call the company or whoever and see if you could get an extended warranty on it? That was only, that's it? That's it?
Yes, sir, that was from the company.
Okay.
All right.
2 years on manufacturer, on a warranty on any faulty equipment on the truck. 5 years is already in the warranty for the hydraulic system. 2 years is already in the warranty for the motor that supplies the vacuum.
Anyone else on this item? Pleasure of the council.
Motion to approve?
second.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
Abstain.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Reports, Mayor?
We do have some important votes coming up. Fire millage for the fire and police will be this Saturday, along with the recreation millage and along with the detention center, which is very important to 5 parishes, which is one of the best in the state. And people are looking to mimic what they're doing out there at the detention center. It's very important to safety and to security of surrounding parishes. Recreation millage, you heard Ryan speak on that, and the fire millage, police millage, that's very important to the city of Hammond for futuristic equipment. These are all renewable votes. This isn't a new tax. So please get out and vote.
Any council reports?
I got a problem on Old Baton Rouge Highway that's been brought up several times. I got Mr. Spiller in the audience. You mind coming to the podium and admit? I brought it up several times on the curb on Chauvin and Old Baton Rouge Highway. It's very dark at night. None of the reflectors up. Some things that were supposed to be done to improve the safety over there hasn't been done. It's been brought up several times, and I know, I don't know if anybody's driven there at night and seen it and realized that there's a problem there that needs to be improved for the safety of the people in that area, on that side of town and anywhere really. But it seems to continue to be looked over and not addressed. And Ms. Spiller had been there for a long time. Before the road was changed up a little bit and added, and took the straightaway and made the curve. And he's here tonight to express his concern again on it, which others as well have. And Mrs. Spiller, would you explain a little bit your concerns to that area?
My concern is centered in the fact that the new street, Chauvin, has a center lane in it. And in the middle of the intersection where it changes back to Old Baton Rouge Highway,
it goes back to 2-lane. And there's no marking to indicate that the road narrows and becomes a 2-lane. Plus the fact that it's right in the intersection where the change takes place. And so it can be confusing to people who aren't familiar with the area. They could come down Chauvin going west on Chauvin, that they have a lane to keep going on. If they can pass somebody who's turning right, that they can pass and we'll have a lane on the other side, and they don't. It's back to 2 lanes. Also, there's no lighting there to help at night be able to see that this is what the situation is. And if you back up on the old Baton Rouge Highway, there by Homeboy's quick service, where the road is turned to come back and connect with Chauvin, there are a number of people who have just kept going straight because it's dark. And it's difficult to realize that there's that sharp of a turn. They help put some guardrails up, which helps, but there's no lighting in order for people to really be able to see. So numbers in the area, we'd just like to see something done to make it cleaner, smoother,
safer.
Light put there at the end where the 3-way comes together, or some marking on the highway indicating that it goes from 3 to 2 lanes, so that we don't have a major highway accident. It came to my attention because I almost had a head-on collision. I was going east on Old Baton Rouge Highway, and somebody came across. If I had not stopped in time, we would have had a head-on collision. But there have been other instances, other people mentioned people passing cars right in that area, and they had to dodge vehicles. So we'd appreciate if you look at it and see what can be done in terms of additional lighting or additional markings to clarify the intersection. Thank you.
Can we get this addressed,
Now,
Mayor?
the intersection coming into Old Baton Rouge Highway does have markers that show arrows. So when you're making that turn, you see that. There's 4 of them at least. The lighting has been an issue, and we're dealing with that, trying to get from Taco Bell out to the interstate on 31, lighting along 190. And the servitude is really far back. If you talk to Energy, as I've done, the lights are going to be a good ways off the highway. But that being said, markers on the center line like we had chatted about before. But those arrows are there in the turn. But I see what you're saying with the narrowing down to 2 lanes from there, so we can put markers on that as well.
Right.
And the guardrails, I think they used to have some up, and there's not
Nothing
there anymore.
To be, well, on the flip side of that, the signs tell you not to go straight, and if you go straight, you go through the sign and you live. If you hit a guardrail, there's not a house there and there's nothing behind it.
Well, we definitely need
It's a
some
heck
more.
of
We
an
definitely need
impact
some more
to hit a
lights there.
guardrail.
The light's
Yeah.
going to help out tremendously
We
because it's
talked
pitch
detail
black in
about
that curve. So I mean,
There's also talks down the road about a roundabout at that particular location, but how long will that take?
yeah, we just need to get it now.
In the meantime, yeah, the curve, the markers to make a right turn are there, but there's nothing that indicates that you go from 3 to 2 lanes. And that's a concern. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, we have Recycling Day, Saturday, May 4th, at Zumari Park from 8 to 12. And you can go online and check the website and see exactly what they will be accepting. So please join us with that and take your recyclables there. Fishing Rodeo this Saturday, April 27th at Zumari from 10 to 12. Registration at 9:30, fishing poles to first 100 kids to check in. So that should be fun, family and fun.
Any other council reports? Yes. I want to thank Hammond Fire Department. I wish one of them was here. I had a building to catch a fire, and they was able to pass by at the time and help save the building, keep it from burning down. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you so much. Ms. Gail, would you come up, please, for District 3?
My name is Gail Vonado Hart, and I'm here tonight, excuse my voice, but I'm here to speak on behalf of my 92-year-old mother. She couldn't be here tonight because she's not feeling well. The first Sunday in April, my husband and I came home from church around 6 o'clock in the evening. Between 7:30 and 8 o'clock, there was a shooting, whereas the officers received about 50 to 60 casings that was in front of my mother's house. My husband he's a disabled veteran. He has dementia, Parkinson, and you name it. My mother has a heart condition. She's the oldest person in my community. She's the only one left from all the people that I grew up with, and I'm 70 years old. So there's nobody in that community left but her. My mother loved to sit outside. She's very fearful of the incident that happened. My grandson was shot. He's okay. But something has to be done in District 3. There were 2 to 3 shootings within less than 2 weeks. And when my mother or any of us go outside, we are constantly looking around because we don't know who it is or what they wanted. They destroyed my granddaughter's car, and they did damages to mine. But my stand here tonight is what can be done in District 3 to help some of this. I would like to share with you what I think that some things would help: more police patrol at night, more security cameras in District 3, more lighting, more signs, because these young people are out of control. These are young kids, and the summer is just getting here. With all this going on, we shouldn't have to live in fear, because the Bible tells us that we should not live in fear. I'm asking the city for no parking signs on both sides of the park on Live Oak and Mooney. I'm asking that my mother live where Councilman Andrew is sitting. My mother's house is there, and I'm the street. There's no protection for my mother's house from Scanlon Street to my mother's house. The gas company came out and moved the gas meter because it was a hazard. The city, we've asked to fix the streets so that they won't have to stop in front of my mother's house, and she's looking at them and they're looking at her. We need something to help her in her old age. She shouldn't have to live in a community where she's been there over 75 years and living in fear every day, afraid to walk outside, and nothing seems like it's being done, because these are not the only shootings that have taken place there. I remember one night somebody was shooting at the police over there in the park, but they're running behind our house. And that is causing us to be more fearful and afraid of living in the community that I grew up in, and we respected that neighborhood, but the people that are coming in don't live in that community. We have these young people that's hanging on the streets. I don't know what the story is, but something needs to be done to protect the senior citizens over in my neighborhood. And I'm pleading with the city, we need your help. And whatever we can do to kind of help support you, that's why I'm here. I'm speaking out for my mother.
Thank you, Ms. Gale. I'm gonna say this here, Live Oak, and I brought it up before, going on 6 years. I'm sitting up here. Janice was a city councilman before me, 4 years. 10 years. We know Live Oak is a problem street. Live Oak is a problem street. Gail mother sit out every day. And you don't find too many people that come and tell you what they family members doing. And it takes a lot for people to come up here and tell what they folks doing. And she said that, and I told her 100%, if you come to the council meeting, I'm gonna do everything I can. I'm asking, I'm not gonna beg. We need support. We need help on Live Oak and Mooney Park. How long I been saying this? We got cameras in the park. We even paid Vexter to sit there and let the police monitor the cameras in the park. 50 rounds the police department picked up. I'm the one called the police. Called 911. There was a shooting in Mooney Park, behind Mooney Park. Gail and them own most of the property there. I asked about that street that the gas company tore up. The street yet to be replaced. Now, if they replace it today, I don't know, because I didn't ride on it today. But I asked this here, and I'm sitting here, y'all sit up here, act like y'all taking notes, and yet nothing get done. I asked about lighting. Everything I asked for, all the area. We need a light on this street. We need a light on this street. And be exact, let me let y'all know when I did this here. When they did the Wilbur Danielfield Ward, just in case you don't know. That's when I asked for this here. See, I keep records of everything that I do. The detectives come out the next day. Not one time Gail lied to them. She told them everything she knew about the shooting. We can't have this. Mr. Stiller telling you about the street, need this, need that. We can't afford to lose one life for safety. That's all we ask for. In Covington, let me tell you, Covington had a bad problem with gangs. You know what the city did? I had to go over there and see it myself. They put cameras on the entire street. What it gonna cost? We just sit here, $320,000 for a street sweeper. And the funny part about it, that street sweeper ain't gonna even go down that street. I know it ain't gonna go down that street. I can tell you everywhere where the street sweeper can go. Don't you talk while I'm talking, please. But I'm gonna say this here. How much does it cost to save a life? The boulders in the park, the plants in the park. Ms. Lisa, we met. Ms. Lisa, you was in the meeting. I done reached out to Ms. Lisa. How many times I reached out to you, the follow-up? She say 3. I'm gonna say 5. And I'm saying this here, it's like I'm repeating myself over and over and over again. Come on now. If I'm dealing with somebody that's slow, and if I'm slow, you tell me, Councilman Wells, you slow. Let me know, and I can point that finger and see what the problem is, but we can't keep going through this. We know we got a problem. I asked the administration, why not put a substation in District 3? All these things I asked for. You know what? But I'm going to tell you, this is what happened. When they had that shooting up there by Southeastern, at the living room, the city picked up a boy. The boy stayed in jail for 4 months. And guess what? The city had to let him go because that boy didn't do the shooting. And I'm saying it's amazing when something happened up there by that university or when something happened downtown, bam, We can solve it like that. That's the same thing I asked for District 3. When we have problems, they got cameras in Mooney Park, supposed to be monitored by the police station. Adrian got cameras on Mooney Avenue. The Black Heritage got cameras on Phoenix Square. That same shooting took place. Them guys went right on Mooney Avenue, went right down Phoenix Square. I'm like, damn. How could everybody tell me what color the car is, how many people was in the car, and where the detectives was at? How many people did they ask, could we see your cameras? Could we do this? Could we do that? See, it's not important to you. I don't have those little kids. But yet, I'm concerned about all the kids. If anybody know me, my concern is the elders and the youth. I ain't worried about y'all. Y'all good. I'm worried about the ones that laid the foundation for me to get here. I'm worried about the ones that gonna follow in my footsteps and do better than me. Those are my concerns. So we need help. The budget coming up. And I know when the budget come up, guess what? All these things the city gonna ask for. And all these things I'm gonna ask for. We ain't gonna be able to do this. We're not gonna be able to do that. That's not in the budget. But see, it's amazing when it come to District 3. Simple little things that the Mooney Park already supposed to have the money for. I'm not asking you to create no money. Chapel Park, that's in my district. They ain't got to ask for nothing. A millage. And guess what? They get it. $3 million some a year. Hell, Mooney Park ain't had nothing in it for 15 years. I've been up here 6 years, still crying about Mooney Park. The kids wouldn't even have to go way to Chapel Park if they had decent things in Mooney Park. I know what all they got in the park. Last year was so hot. If you go outside, you're going to pass out. It done passed. This year, I'm looking for progress. We talked about it, Ms. Lacey. You know, in the meetings, when I had these backdoor meetings and took Ms. Lisa in the backdoor meeting, which we shouldn't have no backdoor meetings. But when I have these backdoor meetings, everything sound good. You tell me this, you tell me that. But when I get to the council meeting, where the public should know and hear everything take place, it always change. We still fighting over the boulders. We still, Live Oak Scanlon Street, what she's talking about. We don't want nobody parking back there. I'm asking you, the mayor, when you got in office, I got in office, you took the whole fence down. So by you taking the fence down, now you created everybody able to go in the park. We never wanted nobody to go in the park. You sat there and told your workers, I wanted this, I wanted that. No, I'm a man. I can say it 2 times, 3 times. I don't care who it is. And one thing about me, I'm going to call your name. So if you say it, I'm going to say that. We need help. If it was going on downtown, what you say, the DDD, see how they sit there and everybody came out and talked about that and said this and said that, boom, everything was taken care of. It's hard for District 3 people to come out because we never know who gonna get mad, and what we do, we go after them, we retaliate. So Ms. Gail came out, sat here for the whole meeting, had to hear what everybody had to say. We need help. Not next week, not next month, we need help now. She told you the age of her mother. This lady supposed to be living in peace. Spent a lot of money just to sit on her porch. I heard the mayor talk about a rail. Put a rail up, whatever it takes. I'd rather for that rascal, I ain't say what I want to say, for that rascal to run that stop sign and knock himself out than to go through their house. That's what I want. They had to gas me to move, because you know what? She'll tell you, she ain't tell you everything, how many cars, because the bad dope they got in our area, how many cars just keep straight across there in their yard that they gonna call us or call Adrian to get the tractor to come pull them out. Say no. Call the police department to come get the vehicle out the yard. Those are issues we having. I got several other issues, but we can start working on that tonight. Not next week, not next month. Let's work on it for the safety of her mother. Don't do it for me. Do it for the safety of her mother, for the safety of the kids. Please. Thank you.
I had one question. I had a couple citizens in the community asked me about update on that homeless shelter and about the definition that presented to the planning and zoning a while back. Where are we at with that homeless shelter situation?
The homeless shelter needs to have access. They have no access on three sides. We have two owners here. The side that they're actually accessing now is Circle K's property, of which they are not giving them written access to the property. Till they clear up how they're going to get in and out of it, it really is not going to go any further. So they need to clean up. This is a process that was, as Devon says, I could say it in a different way, but it wasn't done properly. It's done backwards. This is all things that should have happened, and they're not going to happen, and this will probably end up, I would, looking at the two gentlemen, probably in court before it's all over with, because they don't have access to a property that they purchased. So that's pretty much my understanding. Lacey, you want to chime in, or is that?
They're working on the definition. We expect that to be moving probably in the next meeting or so. It'll be advertised when that happens.
And the flood study, where's the study says that should be coming up probably this quarter? Should have been probably the wrapping up second phase, I think, of that. Is that have y'all had any update from them lately?
He sent an update like about a month ago, but he didn't. He was just basically saying, "I'm still working on it." There wasn't any data.
So he has not
yet.
He hadn't finalized or even close yet for a summary of the phase 2.
Correct.
Okay. Did he say anything about it? I think he said about the first part of the year. I mean, did he say looking like mid-year, or he didn't really say much of nothing, but still working?
I could look in my email and give you a better answer. I don't know offhand.
You can just send it to me whenever, Lacey. I mean, that's fine. I was just curious to let some people know. Thank you.
I was just going to bring up that Keep Hammond Beautiful and the Chamber are doing the Love the Boot Great American Cleanups this Saturday. They're meeting at the Chamber from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. They're having get service hours. They'll have the vests and the bags and all the stuff for to support that day.
I just pulled up the email. It was February 23rd that he emailed. He said they were working on the Lomer application report and finishing last checks on the models. Check of our results against documented flood insurance claim is required. So we sent over the flood claim history that we had. That was a report that came from DOTD, actually. So that's last update we had.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Meeting adjourned.